all strata, so to say, from social commentators to religious bodies, and of course to even people in government agreeing to the agitation, saying that, well, something must be done. Don't forget that even the respected Pastor Enoch of the RCCG also came out sometime to say Nigeria should restructure. That is Pastor Enoch Adeboye. And recently too, the Vice President said the country is in the danger of actually disintegrating except something is done. If you look at the clamor for restructuring here and there, even Nassau Villa is feeling the call now and then, even though, well, it is neither here nor there. This is going to be the focal point for discussion this morning, as we have two gentlemen, wonderful gentlemen in the studio with us, and the topic, as I said, is the clamor, continuous clamor for restructuring. Well, let me welcome the Ekefa Olubadan of Ibadan land and a seasoned journalist, Chief Leko Alabi. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good morning. I thank the management for inviting me.
All right, we also have a regular face here, social political commentator, philosopher, and public affairs analyst, Ola Animashao. Good morning.
Nice
welcome.
to be here, particularly with Ari. Once again, yeah.
I will start with Chief Alabi. In the balance of restructuring in Nigeria, what does it mean? Or are we just following the English meaning of restructuring? What does restructuring mean?
Thank you. When people say restructuring, it sends troubles, panic to some parts of the country. Because an analogy you can give is a baby who's been breastfed, and there's a need for the mom to put the baby aside and do something. If that baby is not yet satisfied, naturally you hear cry, shouts of a baby. So when certain parts of the country hear restructuring, the fear there is, are we going to lose the grip on the resources, the authority of the country? And people now say, the other party will say, yes, we must restructure. Yes, we must restructure. What they are trying to say is that, no, this cheating is more than enough. It is lopsided. So I've always pleaded that instead of the word restructuring, let them start to use, let us return to the true federalism that we practiced before the first military coup, January 15, 1966, whereby the regions control their resources, maintain the pace according to the vision of their leaders, and the philosophy and cultural traditional affinity. So maybe we should remove that technical word, restructure, return to true federalism, with Nigeria remaining one united country, but with agreed terms and objective of fair government and equity, balance, whereby the measure, the entrance, if I can use that word, the entrance form will be merit, and merit.
Okay. Mr. Ola Animashao, this restructuring of a thing, in your own view, don't you think it is a clamor for power rotation within the region in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. If you say restructuring, like Aaron has been trying to explain, it doesn't necessarily mean secession. There's a difference between restructuring and secession. And if you say you are in a federal structure, it has to be seen as being so truly federal in content and practice. It presupposes that there will be justice and fairness as per the resources of the land, resource control for the various segments that are involved in that federal structure. However, it doesn't necessarily mean power rotation at all. It goes further from that. What are you rotating again? If, for instance, Oyo State or Ogun State is able to explore legitimately under the fiscal federal system to explore and exploit the resources under its control, be it on the ground or over ground, to the benefit of the citizens of that state or region. We will still come to their either region or state, and just pay a kind of tax or royalty to those who are at the helms of affairs at the center point. Let's call it Abuja in this instance. Invariably, you will have practically devolved power from the central point to the various segments. So there will be no cause of rotational, agenda of, it's your turn to come here or there. What are they going there for again? It is the overconcentration of power and resources at the center point that makes almost everybody, that makes it almost inevitable for every region and segment to be thinking, oh, we've got to go there, because there seems to be a kind of iniquity going on. Maybe when we get there, we'll get our own share of the national cake and develop our own section of the federation. Invariably, there will be kind of cutthroat, desperate desperation to get to the center. But in this instance, you've decentralized, you've devolved power, you've made sure that almost every segment of that structure have something to do in their basis. In essence, what you have to do is the military, the customs, the immigration, central bank, and stuff like that, while the rest comes under the control of either the state or the region. Of course, some may be concurrent, but even in this instance, I don't even know what the federal government will have to do with agriculture, because the federal government have no land in the first instance. So what are we saying? What we are saying is that even states have no land, as far as I'm concerned, in my own analysis. These lands in this country belongs to the local government, to the base structure. The state can only synergize with the local government in terms of land control. The federal government have no land. The federal government have no citizens. We are citizens of the state, or if you want, the region. But my own aspect of this structural rearrangement does not favor the region. I know nostalgically, maybe people like Are may favor the region, but we'll explain further when we get there.
Okay, I also come to Are. If after 60 years of independence, we are clamoring for restructuring, or as you said we should through federalism. Yes, was it? Can we say it is a case of bad foundation, weak structure? We were close to the likes of Chief Obafemi Awolowo then. How do you want to describe the coming together of us as a nation called Nigerian, going by what you heard from him, and the early leaders then, were they actually sincere? People like Ahmadu Bello, people like Obafemi Awolowo. Let's go back to the basic.
Nigeria did not come into existence until January 1914, and Yoruba land preceded any other area. I don't know the records of other tribes, but Yoruba land preceded thousands and thousands of years before the colonialists came here. So what you had were group of provinces under the control of the Royal Niger Company, which today is the United Africa Company, UAC. So the first penetration into our territory and other parts of the country was purely on commercial basis. Exploitation of our natural resources, timber, coal, palm oil, name it, Royal Niger Company. So it was the Royal Niger Company of which the older brother of Lord Lugard sent him to oversee. And seeing the potentials of Nigeria, Lugard now wrote a memo to London to his older brother that they should appoint him the Commissioner General that will take over the provinces and that there will be better profit to the United Kingdom. So they considered the commercial. Let's come down. In an area where somebody is trying to be too nice, you have to, the Bible say, be careful. Something is behind that generosity. So, the missionaries who came to Nigeria through this lucky city of ours, Abeokuta, they wanted to preach the word of God, Lord Jesus. But the English government did not want them to come near the commercial periphery. So they limited them to the south. That is why Christianity education went late to the north. As a result, the group of provinces were marched into a country called Nigeria, and the amalgamation was signed January 1, 1914. So Nigeria started on the basis of buying and selling. The British government paid off Royal Nigeria Company. I cannot remember the exact amount now, but they paid them off. So they took over the control of our land. And what was it? Yes, let us rule the natives as they regarded us and referred to us. But the opportunity of our early people to go to England to go and study, the first lawyer in Africa, lawyer Shapara and Jeshaman, stunned the whites that these people, after all, they got brains. And then we fast forward to people like Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Adegoke Adelabu, and people who studied abroad and made history. So they saw it as a challenge, and they were afraid of the Southerners, particularly the Westerners, the Yorubas. In the memo of Lord Lugard, he summarized all the tribes in this country and described the Yoruba as arrogant because the Yoruba will not take nonsense. So the competition started. England admitted that of the three nationalists fighting for the premiership of Nigeria, keep away Obafemi Awolowo, because his Action Group party was practicing what they call social democracy, and they feared that if Nigeria got independence, Obafemi Awolowo as premier would take Nigeria to the former Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, communism. So the rest is history. It's trending again, the book by Aaron Smith, an Oxford-trained assistant district officer. He wrote the book, and to today they've not granted him the permission to print. They say it's still an official document under the Document Act, but it's gone trending. And he said they plotted, the British government deliberately plotted that power went to the north. The first instance they gave was the first census in this country was rejected by the northerners, and it was from the mouth of Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa that the word secession first came into this country. He said if the population census final results were announced, the north will secede. It's on record. As we conduct this interview or this discussion, people can Google and then say, but we are talking about empirical facts, names, places, and dates. So they begged them. But the British chairman of the Population Commission refused. He said, this is what I trained in. I will not put my name to soil and my reputation to soil. You have put either minus or +5. The South added together, they are more than the North. We are just saying we're vast land. And that population things, when we are moving from the coast to the Sahara, you know what they did to the British citizen? He was deported. That is why if Nigeria until we change the system, if Nigeria conducts population census tomorrow will be October 15, result may not come out until Christmas, because they must make adjustments from the beginning. Those local governments, they must put figures, cook figures. So we started, and they put it like a challenge cup, they put it on the field. Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, and other tribes. That is the golden cup. Fight for it. So it was a tribal race for the control of this country. Tribal. The parties that contested and they declared the winner and eventually gave the power to become the first prime minister was named Northern People's Congress. Northern People's Congress. And when you say something is northern, I think you are excluding this. Thank you. followed by the NCNC, which was formed by Albert Macaulay, Africa's first savior, but better known as a politician and civil rightist. But his own NCNC was different from the one that Nnamdi Azikiwe took over, because our Zik was next to Albert Macaulay. So when Albert Macaulay died, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe became president of Nigerian Council, National Council of Nigerian Citizens, because Cameroon had gone away. Then let us tell the truth. Action Group was majorly a Yoruba party, because it evolved from the Ebe Omo Oduduwa. So you can see the tribes were set against each other, and then you have the purchase of Tea People, United Middle Belt Congress, Americanos, People's
Redemption.
Thank you. And of course, they were the People's Party. So eventually, the elections were held in 1959. MPC was declared the winner, and the NCNC formed an alliance. They shut out the Action Group, and that is how it has been till now. They may put a facade of National Party of Nigeria, Social Democratic, which Babangida ourselves tied military president, and the other one, National
Republican Convention.
NRC. Declaration. Internally, we all know that they were majorly tribal, and when you go down, what the traditional rulers, the religious leaders of the areas of this country will tell the candidates is, go there, go and bring our share, as he said.
We'll continue when we'll come back. I want to come to Mr. Olani Mashan, but we'll take this break. The discussion continues, the clamor for restructuring. We'll be back.
For your bread, if you knock you at back, so tell no go the hell. Anytime I want to celebrate, you go so the platinum on the leto. It is sweet me like you chocolate. My tell her no the disappoint. Tell her we go Harvard University. You don't go the jump like a baka. If you see my
Make that switch today and enjoy all calls at 11 kobo per second. Free data on every recharge and double data for 3 months on the network with the widest 4G coverage. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back, Mr. Olani Mashan. From what Are said, looking like, well, at one point we must crack, and the cracks are being noted now because right from the outset, it wasn't a solid foundation.
If you look critically at what Are had analyzed, the historical perspective, right from amalgamation, you realize that what we are having now is a country of nations. When you look at Nigeria, we are not homogeneous. We are only managing to accept it based on the amalgamation and the federal structure. But even be that as it may, united we stand. That is the principle. But the iniquities, the injustices that seems to be rearing its head made it inevitable for people to be agitating for true fiscal federalism. And before then, or something similar to that, but not actually like that, is the issue of secession. The failure to make the federation works brought about agitations for secession. And if you have stuff like that, it is incumbent upon successive governments that have been in the country to look at it critically and say, what are those things that we have been doing wrong that makes people to be agitated for breakaway? After all, we are supposed to be working in harmony for the best interest of all in this project. Recently, we have, not even recently, it's been there, but recently we have agitations for the Oduduwa Republic as well. Why is it, what is it, or what are those things that brought about these agitations? That means we've got to do soul searching and go back to the basics. Look at what are the merits of this issue of restructuring. No matter what semantic you want to bring on board, review, or let's talk again, or look at issues, the point is, the various segments are not getting what they are supposed to get. There is too much money in Abuja. Why is it that people will pay taxes or VAT in Lagos or somewhere here in a volume that is very appreciable, and it goes to the central port for it to be distributed only for some people to be benefiting more? I am a Muslim. If there is a federation that believes that we should be responsible for ourselves, and you want to distribute resources that are coming, why should a section that is predominantly Muslim be interested in the VAT that is collected from beer production, for instance? That is why it is morally wrong. It might be legally okay to distribute VAT, but what we are saying is, let each segment control what is within their domain. If we had done that long time ago effectively, there wouldn't be agitation for breakaways. Because those who are saying they want to break away, they are doing this out of frustration that we are not getting what is due to us. Why don't you let us explore and exploit what we have? Then we can pay you taxes. Well, you can call it royalty, you can call it anything. It's a form of taxation for you to maintain your area of control, as I had itemized earlier on. The police cannot even be centralized. The army, the customs, immigration, central bank, and all that. The police, not only will you have federal police, you have state police, you have local government, could also be there. There is no cause for alarm. The problem we have with the restructuring, as it were, is problem of trust. The fear of breakaway, like you are trying to bring out. People think when you allow restructuring, then those who have been agitated for breakaway will push further and say they want to break away. And that is why most often I don't support this old template, which may not necessarily fix into the new dynamics we have now. Like I was trying to say the other time, if you chose to say you want to restructure and you want to go regional, it's going to be problematic given the new context we are in now. Because whatever it is you are running away from Abuja in terms of concentration of power, is still the same thing you are coming to at the regional level. With all sense of respect to Are, if you look at it seriously, you discover that whatever transpired in the western region then was more of struggle for leadership between Akintola and Awolowo, the two parts. No matter what analysis you want to bring on board as far what happened, somebody has been there, somebody wanted to hijack, it's based on power of control between the two leadership. That was the way I could sum it up. Now, why would we have to encourage such a thing now? Because you have something like a macro in Abuja now, macro problem in terms of struggle for power because of kind of feeling of inequity. Now, if you are bringing it downwards, if you let that power also go to each regions, maybe Ilesha is the headquarters now, or Ibadan, or Ogbomoso, everybody in the southwest, for instance, who is a politician of wealth that wants to be in control, will be struggling for that seat at the western headquarters. Why not let us decentralize for that? And that is a replica, a micro aspect of the macro situation in Abuja. Why not let us continue decentralizing, devolve it to the state level? We already have states. I read something about what happened yesterday, where some northern elements were saying now they should have 12 states. 12 states will still not solve the problem. Let each state control what we have now. We have Togediala, we have oil in Ogun State. They have Igbeti gold mine. They have the bauxite everywhere. We have resources. We have cement. Let's control what we have. Remit the taxes to the central port for whatever they have to do over there. Then we will be able to hold our leadership at the state level by the Dogula. Any governor, and I may go today, as far as I am alive, any governor that fails to discharge his responsibility in the state when we are now decentralized with lots of money, then we will go in for it together.
Okay, Chief, can't we have a system of government that is 100% Nigerian, unique to us? Let's not go back to the British or the American style of government. Can't we have our own style of governance? And what are the ways we can have that if we want to?
Thank you. We have already had it before the colonialists came. Each town or village had traditional heads, Oba, Bale, and the council of chiefs, which was peculiar to our own culture and tradition, because kings are taken as the representative of God Almighty on earth. It's in all the books, holy books. God said, they are my representatives. Obey them and pray for them. If they offend you, you cannot do anything to them. It is me who will deal with them, either before they come to me or when they come to me. So the British came and gave us the parliamentary system. Now, military government under Chief Olusegun Obasanjo formulated Constitutional Assembly and said, oh, let us try presidential. And people are now saying, that parliamentary is better than presidential one in terms of cost, executiveness, and all that. But let us talk about the foundation. Our topic is the clamor for the structure. Thank you. Why the clamor for restructuring? Let us look at the genuine structuring in the regions, northern, western, eastern, later midwestern region, carved out of malice out of western region, because in his book, The People's Republic, Chief Obafemi Awolowo had agitated for regions or states whereby it will be inclined due to cultural traditional affinity, particularly the language. He had said that. And the northerners said, no, nobody must come here to even attempt to break the north. Yet, they found it so easy to break the south with the coalition of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. Now, let's go. The northern premier, Sir Ahmadu Bello, who I've said this at this station. First, let me go. This is the first time I've come to your new complex. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I've said it on this great station and elsewhere, and I'll continue to say it. Sir Ahmadu Bello is my #1 nationalist, and I am 100% Yoruba, pure Yoruba on all the sides, 4 sides from Mountain Wai, and I'm a proud Yoruba man. But people ask, Babele, why is Ahmadu Bello your first? We are now echoing what Sir Ahmadu Bello was saying before independence. Afenifere, one is a Middle Belt Progressive, Niger Delta, all civil rights organizations.
And that was what?
Thank you. It's on record. National Archive. When they met, the 3 leaders representing the major tribes, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Sir Ahmadu Bello, that let us take independence from the colonial masters, so that when we become a self-ruling country, we will now be able to progress further, because these British, they are cheating us. They are not. Ahmadu Bello will always reply. We will call Nnamdi Azikiwe by the Christian name which Azikiwe had dropped a long time ago. We will say, Benjamin, you are a Christian and an Igbo. We will call Chief Obafemi Awolowo by the Christian name which Baba had dropped long time before. Thank you. Jeremiah, you are a Christian and a Yoruba. I, Ahmadu, I am an Arab and a Muslim. Let us first of all identify our differences, resolve our differences, religious, ethnic, cultural, before we take independence. And they will say, Ahmadu, let's take independence first. See what we are back now. See what we are back now. Ahmadu Bello was saying, we are not the same. We are different. Despite the fact that the British were promising him behind the scene that you have the true means of getting power in the world. He If it is democracy, you are larger in number than them. If it is a military, all the military institutions are in your region. Why are you panicking? Before Ahmadu Bello agreed. Number two, why Ahmadu is my man. I don't know if before, now, don't let us put tomorrow because we are not God. If anybody in Ahmadu Bello position as president of Northern People's Congress, would the British have promised that either way your party will win and control? You will now choose somebody else. Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa from Bauchi to be prime minister. Ahmadu Bello nominated Sir Abubakar Tafawa from Bauchi to be prime minister. Take it again. Then number three, this is cultural affinity. I've told people, I've said it, if anybody can get me a picture of Sir Ahmadu Bello in British suit or American suit or whatever suit, I will give the person 1 million naira on the spot. This was a man dedicated to his culture. Now they call him Fulani Rendist. Why are you not enjoy Rendist? Because before you become a Nigerian, he has identified his own religion. I'm also a Muslim. Jesus Christ is my friend. My wife is the daughter of Baba Joe, Baba Laditon of Ilaro. So to me, faith is in the heart. Don't come and be preaching to me about no. Let us tackle the issue on the ground without bringing all the religious thing. So if we had listened, or if our fathers had listened to Ahmadu Bello, and let us form a united country, but with the residual learning and power, hence Western region, with our visionary leaders. First, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, 1952 to 1959. Chief Samuel Ladoke, 1959 to January 15, 1966. They had a dynamic team. Awolowo and Akintola, captains of a dynamic Onobamiros of this world, Awoshikas of this world, Akinloye of this world. So Western region, they had vision. Then they charted the path for progress. Free education, employment, all these things we are now seeing first in television, first in housing, first in Olympic Stadium. They had vision and we supported them. The opposition, led by Adelabu, did not believe in this Ghana must go thing. It was a matter of policy and ideas, and to be analyzed. If it's favorable to the people, Adelabu will not say because he was NCNC and he say no. Many things, parties in power, even at the state level, that will be beneficial to the people, so that people can read and hear on radio and television that the opposition is working. They say no. So the term, as to the fear of regionalism, it had been suggested and advised that maybe they should demolish state governments. Let it be federal and local government, because local governments are the real people. They are in touch. But people are saying, don't remove the middle one. No, it has always been there and will continue. But this is the time now, without violence or spilling of blood. People never thought the USSR would dissolve like Gari in Omitutu, 4 years water, Kuli ati Epa, without blood. It had happened severally. Sudan was, what's the word that Harold Smith used now? Sudan was see today, they are separated. Sudan was just a solution like Nigeria. Northern Sudan, they were Arab, skin, pigmentation, beliefs. The Southerners, typical African, dark, mixed religions, and the resources were in the south. So when God was putting up this thing, Harold Smith and co, they were writing colonial office that Mr. Lugard is setting up a keg of powder that will blow one day. It blew between May 1967 and ended January 15, 1970, the Civil War. May the soul of all those who died continue to rest in peace. So by the grace of God, we won't have a second Civil War. But this is the time now, opportunity. See the agitation coming up now. Things you never imagined. And the statement being credited to the Arewa Consultative Forum. That, okay, let us talk. Recently, ACF is saying let us stop.
That we should even go 12 states.
It means the solution is coming. As Yoruba will say, once Ubati says a word, and they are trying to remove the tongue, and we are hearing from the MP the knife is getting to the, Nigeria is getting to the, and there will be total peace, progress. And the thing that will be the template, the platform for all the over 200 tribes in this country will be merit. No federal character, no disadvantaged stage, whereby you are asking an 11-year-old pupil in the south of Nigeria to score 150% of an exam, and you are asking him the north to score 19.
Maybe 15.
And they will get admitted to the same class. Please tell me when it will not happen one day. It may not be physical, there will be an argument. And that boy or girl who score 145 to enter will just say, if not because of this quota system, you are not supposed to be my rank. Yet, we are all born equal. The modern girl of whatever age is as created by God as the southern boy or girl of the same age is because of the culture and fashion, exposure to Western education, and the philosophy of each tribe. Because the Yoruba will say, so rather than go and buy dresses for naming chieftaincy, and let me pay school fees first. And yes, some people are saying, no, stay at home. When they were 11-year-old, marry her off.
Okay.
I repeat again, Sir Amadu Bello, we are not the same. But let us resolve the differences and become united.
Okay. Mr. Ola Animashaun, what are the benefits of restructuring?
It's open and very vivid because you have self-control over your resources. You'll be able to determine the pace of development, and it engenders good competition amongst the various segments. In essence, if you revert back to what happened after the independence pre-67, where every region was developing at their own pace, and you could see what the Western region achieved in terms of all those cocoa house, television, and all the rest, which invariably gained other sections as well. The pyramid in the north, the Grand Pyramid. You saw what was happening in the southeast. So it brought, good rivalry, and in course of doing that, the people will benefit immensely. It will be different from everybody going to Abuja to ask for whatever they had to be given, and some other things are happening over there that you don't have any control over. But you can do your own things at your own pace, and your people will benefit immensely. It's not just the issue of restructuring that is the problem, like I said initially. It is the fear. The trust problem is there. The problem of breakaway. And if people continue to look at it that way, we will not go anywhere. But I'm happy, like Papa also said now, that the ACF are considering, this thing. That, okay, maybe we can do it. I have a feeling that they've been bidding and taking their time to see how they can maneuver in the given context of restructuring. But now that they are coming up with the 12-state agenda, which I'm not so favorable to, I want the states to remain as they are, because no matter what you do, some people will tell you that 12-state will not favor some others. And it is not even our system of government. I think that question came up the other time. It is not the cabinet system or presidential system that is our problem. Our operators of the system are the problems we have in this country. There seems to be too much pecuniary interest, competition amongst those who are at the helms of affairs in terms of who benefits most amongst them, not which group of people will benefit from what we are doing, which is supposed to be an egalitarian society where everybody benefits from what we have in terms of resources. But for some people to be benefiting and some others at the receiving end, is not fair to all and sundry. So as it is, if you have good operators and you have a good system, nothing stops you. The sky is not even the limit for Nigeria. So let's go review, restructure, talk about issues concerning our welfare, concerning our resources, and let's see where we go from there. If we are able to control at each state what we have, the federal gets what they deserve, then it's left for each segment to see to the welfare of their people and for their people not to sleep. That is also very crucial. For their people not to sleep on issues. Try to be engaging as citizens. That is the essence of being a citizen. You don't just put people in power, because that power they are using originated from you, whether at the regional, state, or whatever level. You are the holders of the power. You only ceded it to them to use temporarily on your behalf, because everybody cannot be at the seat of power. And it's expected that the mutual contract between you must be favorable to the citizens. That person holding the seat there on your behalf must give back to you the dividends of democracy as it should be. And we have to make sure the constitution works and everything is done according to the local rules and regulations.
In summary, because we are almost at the end of this discussion segment, for those who are against restructuring, despite the agitation, continuous clamor for restructuring, the ongoing end-SARS process, is it not a lesson for them? All right.
No, restructuring, returning to true federalism,
before it becomes
the foundation. The end-SARS thing is a system that has failed. All over the world, the police is established for internal security of the citizens and residents. And the first duty is to ensure that if there's any crisis or panic, you call the police first. You don't call the soldier, you don't call the army. Because it is they who are closest to the people. So the moment the citizens are now seeing the police not as their friend but enemy number one, from the thing they show us and we read, sometimes you are going to ask, are these policemen from Jupiter? They are hitting female, not okay, they say men are stronger, physically. And you are asking them to lie down and all that. So it is a system that has failed, and you could see that it appears, or it could be proved, that the cadre of the police, top to bottom, are disobeying. In 4 years, the president has said SAR should be asked or something, and yet refusal. And the moment our president said, when there was trouble in one part of the country, and he instructed the Inspector General of Police to move, and the man did not move, and we did not hear a sack immediately, then you see that this system has failed. Some police officers, corporals, when they be civil, then you'll be surprised. But they say these people are ruffians, and yet you will see some, they are going to be asking, sir, sorry, did my parents offend your parents? Because so it's not a matter of, if you come to the police, there will be chaos.
People have been clamoring for something to be done as per SARS for a very long time. But the government woke up when protests started. I'm just saying, this issue of restructuring, people are talking now. Must the government wake up? Does the government wait until protest starts?
It will be very unfair on the part of any government to wait until things get overhead, because you never know what can happen. The response of the government to the issue of end-SARS shows that they have seen the handwriting on the wall, that you never know how this process could evolve, what it can get to. Nobody wants an Egyptian situation to happen or Tunisian situation to happen here, particularly when you have predominantly the youth, though unorganizedly organized in this instance, and that is the most dangerous part of it. They don't have arrowheads of the protest, and it's engulfing the whole nation. Who knows how far it will go, and the way it could be hijacked, either by fifth columnists or district churches or anything. How does the government handle it? That's why the government buckled immediately to make sure that it doesn't get out of hand. And as for SWAT, please, for the SWAT I have known from my international experiences, SWAT is not supposed to be on the road like SARS. If you say SWAT, they are emergency teams. It's only when the regular police cannot handle a situation that you call them in. And once they finish their assignment, they must go back. It is not for them to be taking laptop or iPhone or anything on the street. Don't turn SWAT to SARS that is like an ATM or carrying POS all around. Police is supposed to be civil. It should not be brutal or brutish. Any system that encourages its police to be brutal will surely collapse. It's not a threat, it's a fact. A glaring fact to everybody. And we hope it will not get to that.
Well, I want to thank you very much. We've been talking about the clamor for restructuring, but we cannot talk about restructuring without actually talking about the NSAS thing, because for the president to come out and say, well, SARS is no more, and we are now hearing SARS, it's also restructuring in the somehow security situation of the country. So once again, I want to thank Are Lekwan Labi, the Kefa Olubadan of Badaland, and the seasoned journalist. Thank you very much for coming to the program.
Thank you, sir. Can I quickly give a takeaway to our viewers?
Why not?
Thank you. The first non-British or white Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Chief Emeka Anyegu, his wife is not only Yoruba, is not only Egba, Mama is a Miss Odunjo. So if you say you want to break Nigeria, so the third generation Ayoku now, they will just say, Emeka, Okochukwu, yeah, choose one. Do you want to stay with Grandpa? Do you want to follow Grandma to Abeokuta?
Okay.
It's too late.
It's too late.
But we must make agreement of how we want to live together. Nigeria must survive. We just have to fear to all.
Okay. Mr. Olani Marshall, a socio-political philosopher and political affairs analyst, we want to also thank you for coming to the program.
It's good to be here.
That's how it's going to be on this segment of the program, but Newdawn continues while we allow Olani Marshall and Are Lekwan Labi to take a breather. We'll be back.
What happens when we elect public servants and don't tell them what to do for us. Voting is not the end. It is just the beginning. Bribery and corruption is illegal. It could hinder the economic growth of a nation. If caught, culprits will end up in jail. Say no to bribery and corruption.
The habit of texting or using phones while working is becoming rampant, and it can be dangerous if you are not careful. You could get hurt. Be robbed. Hit by a moving vehicle. Avoid accidents by being more alert while walking on the road. Wait until you reach your destination before checking your phones. Life is precious. Stay alive and limit the use of phones while walking on the road. This message is from OGTV, the People's Telly.
Yes. One day as I did dab they go. Now I see my neighbor on top electric pole. Don't be how my hold so before. So climb every day. Come on electric bill. You no gree pay. Waiting concern you for there. I beg you. Come over here. Government property. Now my property. If you don't come down now, I go report. Not be only report. Now report card. Okay.